Hey, Baron.
Not Perrin, it's Ozzy.
It's Ozzy.
All right,
Ozzy.
we're live. We're live with the Metal Voice, and Perrin's got Ozzy on his back.
And
We'll
I've
see
got
if Ozzy's
Ozzy's
on my
tour
back
shirt.
after this.
I've got Ozzy's tour shirt on.
And I got Anvil from yesterday. The shirt was there. I'll put it on. Boom, boom, boom. Support Anvil. They're playing at the end of September. They're doing they're re-releasing their movie in Los Angeles. Red carpet. All right,
I'm wearing Metallica shirts, but they probably don't need your support for money.
We could see right through you. Look at that.
I saw Ozzy right through you. That's miraculous.
All right, patient number 9 is the 13th studio album by Ozzy Osbourne.
13.
The album was released today on
Lucky
Epic
13.
Records. Produced by Andrew Watt. We're going to go around the table. Alan, what'd you think of Ozzy's new album, Patient 19?
Patient number 9. You're going to get hate mail, Jimmy.
Patient number 9.
Patient number 9, yeah. It's Ozzy. I thought if he would have finished his career with Ordinary Man, I would have been happy. It was a mature album. I thought it was really heartfelt, a lot of the songs. So for me, this is just a bonus that he released another one. But it's got some interesting things on it for sure.
All right, Perrin, what'd you think overall?
I was pleasantly surprised. So I'm guessing Alan liked Ordinary Man. I vividly remember doing this show with you, giving Ordinary Man a 2 on 10 and getting more hate comments and hate mail than I've ever gotten in the 3 or 4 years I've been working for the Metal Voice. So, so I won't get hate mail now because maybe the bar was low, but I'm pleasantly surprised by this record. Not to say it's the greatest Ozzy record or even close, but it's a reasonable facsimile of a good Ozzy record.
I think I'm gonna have to side with Perrin on this. I was really disappointed with Ordinary Man. Like, I was kind of like, all right, the first 2 singles are great, and then the rest of it kind of like fell short. Where this one, I was kind of skeptical. I wanted to go in hating it, but I thought it was pretty good, and it was if Ozzy stopped his career today, I think this is the right album to stop the career on. Okay, those are my 2 cents there. All right, we're gonna go round the table. Each song on the album. And, first song, Patient number 9, featuring Jeff Beck. Alan?
Well, it's got like that Alice Cooper feel from the inside, It's kind of creepy at the beginning. It's got acoustic guitar, boys and girls. And, Jeff Beck, when people ask you who your favorite guitarist is, you say, you mean besides Jeff Beck, right? Because this guy does stuff on guitars that nobody does. But, when it comes solo time, you want a Zakk Wylde or Randy Rhoads rip your head off solo. And you don't need this, hey, look, listen, my guitar is literally talking solo. So, Jeff Beck's guy, I preferred his solo to his work on 1,000 Shades. This is an odd choice to open the album for me. So,
really? Okay. Perrin?
No. Look, this was the first single, so we've been living with it for a while. I remember when the first single was coming out, I was very skeptical, and then I heard this and I was pretty much blown away, and it's what made me anticipate the album. I think it's a really good track. I agree with the Alice Cooper reference that Alan gave. And
what's up, Alan?
It's interesting. It's a really interesting track. It's modern produced, obviously, but it has kind of this old school vibe to it. And I don't know if Ozzy has done anything this interesting with a single in a long time. So it's a big plus for me to kick off the album.
You know what? I'm going to agree with both you guys. I think this is probably one of the strongest tracks, and it'll probably live in his catalog as a strong track. And people will refer back to this song, and he'll probably, I don't know if he'll ever play in concert again, but this is going to live on, this song. People will remember this album by this song. It's like a 7-minute song, and Jeff Beck really creates a nice little atmosphere for the song, and maybe that's that creepy vibe. It's just Jeff Beck's tone.
The best compliment I can give to a song is like a month after it came out, I actually find myself humming it every now and then. And if I even remember a song a month after it's released, especially an Ozzy song these days, it's pretty good. And no joke, I find myself humming this song every now and then. So So
and it's got that proggy little ending at that would, it's a 7-minute song. It holds your attention for 7 minutes. All right. Number 2. What everybody else think of number 1? I know it's been released for a long time now, but number 2, Immortal, featuring Mike McCready, the Pearl Jam guitarist. What the heck's going on here, Alan?
It's okay song. I just think it's the worst solo on any Ozzy Osbourne album ever, personally. Perhaps any in the history of music, maybe. No Jeff Beck here.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, Barrett.
I categorized every song on the record with a plus, a neutral, or a minus, and this was my first neutral. I thought the song started pretty strong. I kind of liked the opening, but then I just feel like it descends into this generic kind of I'm on a treadmill kind of song, sausage factory. It could be anything, and I agree. I mean, look, you got Iommi on this record, you got Jeff Beck on this record, you got Eric Clapton on this record, you have Zakk Wylde on this record. We'll talk about that after. I don't know if Mike McCready really added a lot of flavor here. So neutral, not terrible.
I gotta say, like I'm disappointed in you guys. Like I like this song. I like that little flanger-ish guitar solo. I thought he's got a lot of feel
neutral.
there.
I didn't give it a negative. The negatives.
Okay, Alan gave it the negative. He said it's the worst solo he's ever heard in his life.
In the history of mankind.
In the history of mankind. I liked it. It's catchy. It's cute. It's a little industrial in some ways. And it could probably be, there's a lot of auto-tuning going on, that's for sure. But, the guy's like, Ozzy's 74 years old, so what do you expect? I liked it. I thought it was a really good solo, and I always like Pearl Jam and their leads, and I think there's always a lot of feel there. All right, here we go. Now we're getting into Zakk Wylde territory. Parasite, Alan. This is not the Kiss Parasite. This is the Ozzy Parasite.
I mean, look, guys, we can speed this up a little bit. I went back and I was actually surprised. I actually forgot completely about Scream. I've got Down to Earth. I've got Black Rain. I've got Scream. Like I said, a lot of these songs can just go into this. We're not talking Randy Rhoads era or even J.K. Lee era here, and this is one of them. I mean, Parasite's a good song. Like, I'm sure Parent's got a plus or a negative next to this one. No, really?
I got a negative.
But, there's a lot of these songs we could just group together, man. And let's, but this is where
Are you saying
Ozzy's
paint by
at,
numbers? You're saying paint by numbers?
What Ozzy's doing at this stage of his career. So,
all right. Parent?
Out of 12 tracks and an outro, I have four negative tracks on this record. Mm-hmm. And this is one of them. And the more interesting thing is most of the negatives are either Zakk tracks or one without a guest that kind of just Andrew Watt played lead. So, I hate to say this. I like Zakk. I like Black Label Society more or less. I like Zakk's early work with Ozzy. But Zakk doesn't even sound like Zakk on this song. Whereas Iommi sounds like Iommi and Jeff Beck sounds like Jeff Beck. And if you listen closely, Clapton sounds like Clapton. For better or worse, not everyone loves pinch harmonics, but Zakk has a certain sound, and this sounds nothing like Zakk. Like if it didn't say with Zakk Wylde, I would have no idea Zakk was on this track. I feel like it's devoid of any feeling or identity, and I actually think Parasite is one of the worst songs on the record. So I was really, really disappointed by most of Zakk's input on this record, to the point where I'll say, I don't know. Why is Zakk still in the band? He has a lot going on at Black Label Society. Andrew Watts.
Because you don't turn down Ozzy. When Ozzy calls, hello, Zakk.
No, I once spoke to Zakk and I said, hey, Zakk, are you going to be jamming with Ozzy tonight? He says, hey, I do what the boss man wants, So, but no, not a winner for me at all.
So to go to Alan's point here, this is like a paint by numbers kind of song. There's a few of these. Like, okay, let's have the generic band playing in the background. Let's insert a solo here, and let's get Ozzy to read these lyrics. That's kind of like the sort of like stale, static kind of sound. It's sort of like,
Dead and Gone, Evil Shuffle. You can group One of These Days, perhaps. So that's a bit different. Nothing Feels Right. You can group these all together.
All right, so we'll group them together. Evil Shuffle. Would you guys agree? That's the sort of paint by numbers, Ozzy Osbourne. I don't know.
I think that's probably one of the better of the Zakk tracks, but like I'm going to
Jeez.
stick to what I said. I said once people listen to this record, if they divide it up by guitarist, I think the Zakk material is some of the weakest material on the record.
Well, okay, so let's get into No Escape From Now, Tony Iommi. And okay, group them together, Al. No Escape
Well,
From Now with Tony
I mean,
Iommi.
for me,
And the other one, which one
Iommi's
was it? And
he's the
Degradation
riff
was.
master. This could have
Yeah.
been on 13, Black Sabbath's 13, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, this is a typical Iommi Sabbath, Ozzy, and it wouldn't have been out of place on Black Sabbath's 13. So that's my 2 cents.
I think trying to recreate Sabbath is that's why we like these songs. Because, oh, you're hearing the riff. Oh, the thick bass line. Oh, Ozzy's playing a little harmonica here. Is that why we're digging these songs? Throwbacks?
I think it's a little bit of that. I think, but you know, the best guitar players in the world sound like them, no matter what they play on. You know, you can like Ted Nugent's Politics or not, but when you hear Ted Nugent, you know it's Ted Nugent. When you hear Tony Iommi, you know it's Tony Iommi. When you heard Leslie West from Mountain, you knew it was Leslie West. This song is probably my favorite on the record. I think it's
No
great.
Escape? No Escape From Now, you're saying?
No Escape From Now, I think is my favorite song on the record. You know, it has this sullen, dark intro. The verses are great. There's a breakdown at the end that's amazing. You know, the note I wrote is that only Tony Iommi.
There's like a Planet Caravan theme going on at the beginning, you know, with Ozzy.
Only Tony Iommi or God himself can save an Ozzy record in 2022. And I think Tony pretty much does that. That's, you know,
So I'm trying to figure this out, Alan. You go, this is the riff master, but did you like No Escape From Now and the other Tony Iommi song?
Yeah, like I said, this is.
Did you like 13? I don't even know if you like 13. I don't remember.
Based on what are you doing? You want an answer? You're talking there. I can't do both at the same time. Can't listen to you while I'm responding. What's going on? What do you want to know? Yeah, it's a good song. It's Iommi, man. It's like Perrin said. You know, I always said I can tell a John Sykes guitar, no matter where he's playing, Gary Moore, George Lynch, and now, you know, Tony Iommi is definitely in that category where the moment you hear the guitar, you're saying, oh, that's Tony. And this is a great example. It's not my favorite song on the album, but this is a strong song.
All right. I would agree, man. Little Planet Caravan intro and extra. And, you know, some nice build up there, and it goes fast, like those typical Black Sabbath riffing songs, and they tend to speed up and slow down again. So, yeah, it's cool. Some nice key changes, too. Very multi-part, that song. All right, what else can we group together? We got One of These Days, Eric Clapton, and 1,000 Shades. What do you guys think of those? No? Nothing?
Yeah, no, I mean, the Clapton does his thing. It's nice. It's like, you know, it's like on Ordinary Man when he had Elton John on. I mean, you know, it lends to a different feel on an Ozzy Osbourne album is what I'm saying.
Did you like One of These Days?
I liked it. It's not my favorite on the album, but I liked it.
Okay,
yes.
all right. I don't know. I found hey. It's kind of weird chorus, but anyways, Perrin, you?
Yeah, most of my favorite songs come on the first half of the record, which probably tells us the record might be a bit too long. But One of These Days and 1,000 Shades, I had them both in my plus column as well. One of These Days, I thought had one of the hookiest choruses on the record.
Yeah.
You hear Clapton, I think, pretty clearly if you know that he's there. I thought it was, you know, honestly, the verses are catchy, hooky chorus. I thought the instrumentation was good. So One of These Days is upper echelon. And then back to Jeff Beck with 1,000 Shades. I thought that's where you really heard Ozzy's Beatles influence, right? You know, Ozzy was a huge lover of the Beatles. And if there's a Beatlesque kind of song on the record,
1,000 Shades, yeah.
I think it's 1,000 Shades. And that was in my plus. You know, Ozzy, it's legit for Ozzy to do something that sounds a little Beatley, because he grew up on that. I mean, if you've seen footage of him meeting Paul McCartney, and I've seen footage, like Ozzy reveres Paul McCartney. So I mean, it's legit.
Yeah, that's one of my strongest favorites on the album as well, and it's what I like to at Ozzy at his age. This song suits him perfectly. You know, he's not a Dio, he's not a Nathan James with a lot of emotion in his delivery, but slower songs like this, and there was a lot of examples on Ordinary Man where he kind of emotes a little bit more than on other songs. And that's what I like about Ozzy at this age. I think he's got a lot of obviously lived a full life. And if he can start putting some of those expressions and his sentiments into his singing, we'll all be better for it. So this is a good example of that.
Is it fair for people to bash this album? Like Ozzy's 73, 74 years old, and he's making music. Probably this album is probably better than most bands that come out with their albums today. It's melodic, it's catchy, it's interesting, it's got like some Top Gun slick guitar, guys from that, that are known around the world. Is it fair to bash Ozzy for this album? Like saying, oh, this is the worst thing ever. Oh, this is all auto-tuned. Friggin' Ozzy, man. I can't believe he's coming out with another stupid album, crappy album like this. Is it fair?
I think you need to separate Ozzy from the way this record was put together. And I think when people are criticizing, they're criticizing that this is it's not something we see in metal. It's almost like a pop record. The way pop records are made, it's almost like the producer's record, not the band's record. So Andrew Watt, the producer, the songwriting team, because when you look at the songs, there is a songwriting team. Ali, I don't remember Ali's last name, but she's a big pop writer who writes for Kelly Clarkson and Justin Bieber. She wrote almost all the songs. Chad Smith and the Red Hot Chili Peppers. So it's auto-tuned, although not as bad as the last one. It's, the producer has a very heavy hand in it. There's tons of outside songwriters. So I think the criticism that is warranted is how organic an Ozzy record is this versus how manufactured an Ozzy record is this. And it's the conversation you and I had about Ordinary Man, that I questioned if Ozzy was even present when Ordinary Man was made. I feel like he has a bit more of a hand in this.
I don't think he's been present since 1991.
I agree.
And apparently, even Bark at the Moon, apparently he wasn't present.
Yeah, well, maybe for different reasons. But so, yeah, I just think the criticism is...
You know what you're trying to say, Perrin? You're trying to say this. The first three albums sounded like a band effort. It sounded more organic, even though if he wasn't as present as we thought he was. It sounded like a band effort. Now it just, and I'm saying this again, it's like, insert guitarist here. Yeah. Ozzy, read the lyrics. These are your lyrics. Please read them.
But Jimmy, that's
Mr. Sinatra, the music's ready. Mr. Sinatra, we're all ready. The orchestra's here.
Yeah, come in. But Jimmy, that's how pop records are made. Pop records, there is no band. It's the producer, the singer, and there's a roving group of songwriters and musicians. So yeah, like I asked myself, okay, if Ozzy's touring band is Zakk, Blasco, and Tommy Klouftos, well, why not just write a bunch of songs and have them play on the record, even if Ozzy himself didn't write them? So it's just weird that you have this mishmash of players on the record and then a completely different band that tours with Ozzy. So I guess I don't get that, and we're not used to that in heavy metal. So it just feels a little.
I wanted to sort of like, I go, this is going to be like Ordinary Man, and I wanted to hate it, but when I put it on, I kind of was pleased. I didn't hate it as much as I thought I would, like Alan. I think you hated it. Did you hate it? Okay, I don't know, because you said Ordinary Man was good, and this is not the way to end your career.
This is like everything else. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Hey, if you're looking for No More Tears or Diary of a Madman, it's not happening anymore. So this is what we can expect.
So where would you put it? Where would you put it? So if you had the whole catalog. Like if you have all Ozzy's catalog right here, let's say you have it right here, okay?
I forgot I had these.
Okay. Jimmy, the fans want us to get back.
How much of an impact they had on me.
What?
The fans want us to get back to the songs. We were
the songs. I think we covered them all, do we not? Let's see.
Mr. Darkness. That's my favorite.
Now we got a whole bunch of Zakk songs. We got
all right, Mr. Darkness, go out.
Mr. Darkness. I mean, you're talking about Iommi inspired song. It starts off slow, goes in. It's almost two songs in one. And I love the way Ozzy sings it, and that's one of my favorites off the album. Zakk's solos and everything.
Yeah, me too. Go ahead, Perry.
I give that one a neutral. I agree it's like two songs. I didn't like the start, but it gets really up tempo with about a minute and a half left, and that's the part of the song that I like. That's where Zakk finally starts, to grow his balls back, and it is coming out again. And so I gave that one a neutral. It was like half a good song for me.
To me, it was like above a neutral. It was
Yeah.
more like
It needed,
like an 8 out of 10.
Jimmy, back to our Megadeth review. If there's a crater on this record, the crater starts here.
Okay.
No,
All right.
just after this one, I would agree with Perrin.
I do like Mr. Darkness a lot, and I think this is probably one of the strongest tracks on the album.
Yeah, I agree.
And you know, I think there's a great guitar solo by Zakk, and I think it sounds a lot more organic than a sort of insert the guitarist there. All right. Nothing feels right. Alan?
Oh, the rest you can group all together. I mean, it's just typical of what Ozzy's doing in this part of his career and what he's done on all these other albums, that he basically just comes in, the music's laid down, he comes in and sings, and there's almost a disconnect between the music and the vocals. It's a good insert, like Perrin said, insert band here, anonymous
I
band
said that.
here. Oh, okay, well.
I alluded
And
to
Ozzy, you just lay your vocals over the top. So the rest for me, it's just, you know, but Evil Shuffle, Dead and Gone. This is perfect examples of where Ozzy's at in his career at this point.
There's one exception coming up. I agree with you. Like Nothing Feels Right, I think might be the worst song on the record.
What?
It's just, yeah, it's weak. Definitely.
No, I thought. Think of how he sings it. He sings it really well. It's very well sung.
Well, then you like autotune because this is probably the most
auto-tune. Every band has got auto-tune now.
You know what? This album isn't as auto-tuned as the last one I find, and I feel like this track is the most auto-tuned. And yeah,
if it's auto-tuned, I still like it. It sounds like something off of Osmosis.
My notes: horrible, depressing lyrically, weird tempo, very generic modern rock. You know, Zakk's solo isn't bad. That's maybe the only saving grace. But I think, Nothing Feels Right was definitely on my minus list.
This is my note I wrote. I like the way he sings. That was my note.
You like the way the robot sings.
I like the way he sings. I know. I just like the phrasing. I like the melody. I thought it was a very creative and catchy melody. So for me, I do like Nothing Feels Right. And that's for me, it's like a plus. It's I put 2 stars. Okay. Evil Shuffle. This is where the crater starts, if you ask me. Evil Shuffle is like, I can't stand these sort of blues-based intros. Dun, 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 dun. A little bit of a shuffle. I did not like this, Alan.
Man, I grouped them all together. I mean, there's nothing left to say.
Okay. Perrin, go ahead.
Like here, Trapdoor. Guys, hum Trapdoor from Black Rain.
Okay.
You know?
I don't remember.
Here. Anybody knows how Fearless went off a Scream? Anybody remember that hit? Fearless?
We don't remember it. We don't remember them, Alan.
Exactly.
That's the point.
I know,
this is going.
I'm exaggerating.
That's where these last songs are going as well.
Look, they didn't lie. Evil Shuffle is a shuffle. So, I mean, it's kind of cool to have a shuffle on an album, I guess. And it does.
That's about it.
It does sound kind of doomy. So that's kind of nice. But yeah, again, it was in my minus list. Most of the Zakk stuff is on my minus list. I just don't like his contributions to this record.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like the song at all. And then Degradation Rules. That's song number 10. Alan, I think you like that one. That's the Iommi riffs.
Yeah, but it's not nearly as strong as No Escape from Now. So
no, but it's still good. It's good.
Not as strong, but it's in my plus column. I love the harmonica. Like, look, I guess for the Iommi stuff,
it's throwbacks, man. It's like a thick bass with a harmonica. Oh, it's the Wizard. No, it's not the Wizard. It's Degradation Rules.
Yeah,
or throwbacks.
It's a nod to Sabbath. It's a nod to Sabbath, nod to themselves. Yeah, for me, the Iommi tracks are the best on the record. I agree with Alan. I like the other one better, but this was in my plus column. I'm not giving Tony Iommi a neutral or a minus ever. Like, it would need to be pretty bad for me to give Tony a negative. And honestly, look, I like Old Sabbath, and this sounds like Old Sabbath. So maybe they're throwing one out there for the old guys, but it works for me.
All right, Dead and Gone. To me, this was like back to a Shot in the Dark off of Ultimate Sin.
You know, I wrote that same thing in my notes. So Jimmy and I don't compare notes. It's Shot in the Dark with a terrible chorus. Shot in the Dark's a really well-written song. That's right. So I feel like the verses in this are good, but I think what kills the song is there's no memorable chorus. Whereas Shot in the Dark, of course, Phil Soussan, even he brought Shot in the Dark from his previous band. Great chorus and great song all the way through. So it's funny. I did put down that they're a Shot in the Dark reference, but I have this as a neutral, you know.
Alan, neutral. It's just put it all together. That's that.
It's,
Okay.
it's what he's doing these days. That's all.
All right. And then God Only Knows, which is, well, pretty much the last song.
I
Dave
was hoping
Navarro.
that was a cover of the Beach Boys. God only knows. That would have been interesting. That
Yeah.
would have been really interesting, as opposed to this is the weakest track on the album, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. It wasn't a good way to end.
Well, it's pretty bad. And again, my spontaneous notes, guitar sounds like farting. That's kind of what I wrote. So, and again, this is one of the few tracks with no guest guitar player. It's Andrew Watt, the producer, playing lead. So, we might.
God Only Knows. No, Dave Navarro. Dave Navarro plays on it, doesn't?
Well, then he sounds like he's farting because the guitar sounds really bad.
All right, then we have Darkside Blues, which is just basically Ozzy doing a little bit of
blues.
outro.
It's an outro.
It's not really an album. All right, overall thoughts here, Alan. I'm gonna rate it. Let's just throw out a rating here.
But compared to what? The rest of his catalog?
Compare the rest of his catalog.
All of the other music out there in the world.
Come on. Give me a number. Give me a number out of 10.
6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. Ooh, that's rough. That's rough, Alan. That's rough. Perrin?
I have it kind of between a 6.5 and a 7 out of 10. It's like a 6. If we were grading on 100, maybe it's like a 68 or something like that. So it's between a 6.5 and a 7.
Or 6.8.
But again, given that I gave the last one a 2, the fact that I'm in the neighborhood of a 7 here, and here's the thing. The first half of the record, like the first 6 or 7 songs, I was like, whoa, this might actually be a good record. This might be like an 8 on 10. Mm-hmm. But then I think the record goes so downhill in the second half that it's kind of like an 8 and a 5, and that's why it averages out to like a 6.5, 6.8, whatever. So again, guys, you don't need to put 13 songs on a record. Your record doesn't need to be an hour and 3 minutes long. If he takes the best 9 songs and puts out a 45 or 50-minute record, I think we actually have 9 songs of neutral to good material. So a little too long. My bar was low. I was happily surprised, but it's not like an all-timer.
Yeah, well, for me, Ozzy Osbourne, it's the first 3 albums, and that's it. And after that, I kind of fell off for me. It's Ozzy Osbourne's all the same after that. I could never get past.
I toughed it out a little longer. I hear what you're saying. I toughed it out a little longer. I think I worked up to No Rest for the Wicked. Is that it?
I put it on recently, and I couldn't even listen to that album. I couldn't even listen to that album.
Look, I think No More Tears. Jimmy, you did a poll today on the Metal Voice. You asked people to rank Ozzy albums. I have No More Tears as my 3.
I think No More Tears is a popular album because it had a lot of big hits. But I think overall, as an album, I don't know. Look, it's just me. To me, the first 3 Ozzy albums, and that's it. And Ultimate Sin, and then here and there songs. I do like a lot of songs from each album.
But here's an interesting thing, Jimmy. You asked people to rank the Ozzy albums on the Metal Voice today.
Yeah.
And almost everybody had the Diary and Blizzard 1 and 2 in whatever order.
Of course.
And then from Bark at the Moon to No More Tears, or even to Osmosis, they all came next in some order. Nobody had any modern Ozzy in their top 7. It was almost like Maiden, like the top 7, the first 7.
To Alan's point.
7. Ozzy, like everyone had, okay, maybe No Rest for the Wicked was 3, maybe Bark the Moon, Ultimate Sin, No More Tears. But the top 7 on almost everybody on your ranking today on the Metal Voice, Jimmy, was the first 7 records or so. And I think this might be the best of his latter day records. I like this better than
and I would put it at like a 7.5 out of 10 because I think he's 73 years old, and it's probably I could probably listen to this album more so than I can listen to, let's say, Osmosis. Well, Osmosis has some great songs, but the whole album's not that good. So I don't know. Maybe it's somewhere in the middle of his catalog.
I think the highs on Osmosis are higher, like Just Want You and those kinds of songs. So I think the highs are higher. But I had this right after Osmosis. I think this is better than Black Rain, than Scream.
Yeah. And that's Alan who's holding in his hands right there.
If I give him credit for one thing, look, Ozzy lost me for a long time, and this one actually got me back a little bit. So
that's what I'm saying. Right.
Well, I don't know. To be fair to these albums, at least they had one song that you could really drive your head through the wall with. I mean, like Let Me Hear You Scream, or I Don't Want to Stop. I'm not feeling that on this album. So maybe this is a more consistent album compared to those ones. But there's not one song on this that you're going to be putting the pedal and find yourself driving 120 miles an hour on.
I like the Iommi stuff, so maybe I don't know. And even Patient Number 9.
I think we like the Iommi stuff because we're thinking, oh, Black Sabbath, but they are good songs. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just
Patient Number 9. The song itself
it's
also might be one of the better songs he's done in the last 20 years. It's a kind of a cool song, I have to say.
I agree. Patient Number 9.
So for me, it's 1,000 Shades and Mr. Darkness and No Escape from Now. Those are my top 3.
Yeah. All right. So Ozzy Osbourne, NFL last night. It's all about managing expectations. Everybody thought we're going to tune into halftime and see Ozzy Osbourne. Guess what? That was 3 seconds. That's how long he was on.
Don't blink.
Don't blink. 3-4 seconds. Okay. Alan, did you expect to see Ozzy Osbourne on, halftime playing 2 songs and yes, lip syncing them as well? But what'd you think? Did you know? Did you know what was going on? Did you care?
I don't follow the NFL, but if you got a guy on and you're going to bring in Zakk in as a special guest, you might want to show it, But it just goes to the complete lack of respect, yet again, that metal has in the eyes of those in power. So it doesn't matter if it's Ozzy. If you can't show Ozzy, right, who's probably the biggest star out there, what are you going to do? It's a complete, total disrespect to the metal community and metal music. So,
right.
I don't know. I have a different take on it. Like the Rams, actually, Nita Strauss performs at all the Rams games at halftime. So they always kind of do this. So Ozzy was the in-stadium halftime entertainment, and they just kind of decided, okay, we'll put originally they decided they were going to put the in-stadium entertainment on TV. Like it's not like the Super Bowl show where it's about TV. It was about entertaining the people in the stadium. And then they said, okay, let's put it on TV. And then I think some executive someplace said, screw this, we're going to get more ratings from analyzing the first half of the game than we are from, this guy. So pull it. So as a business person, like I get it, right? Like the producer of the show, his job is to make sure the quarter-hour ratings stay good. And if people switch it off, they might not come back. So I guess he made a call saying, I think the analysis of the game will get us higher ratings than Ozzy. And if we go to Ozzy too long, people are going to switch off and they might not come back.
How do they know that though? That's kind of like, are they predicting the future there? Like,
job, right? I don't know if I'm a TV producer. I would
say, Ozzy's going to give me some numbers here. Just, maybe I'll bite the head off of bat or something, or a dove, or
I'm pretty sure when they signed up Ozzy and they called Sharon, go get this opportunity for you. They didn't mention anything about 3 seconds.
No, but the NBC didn't call Sharon and Ozzy. The Rams did. He was the in-stadium entertainment. NBC kind of decided that they would show the in-stadium entertainment, and then they undecided. But
wait a second. Maybe it was about managing expectations here. Maybe he was never supposed to be on TV. It was sort of publicized that way, and then everybody got excited. But the contract didn't really read he was going to be on TV. He was just going to perform at halftime live. I don't know if that's considered live, but what about this lip syncing business? What about honest to God, I get it. Bands want to play in front of hundreds of thousands of people, but I don't know, man. There's something weird about people lip syncing in front of so many people. It's just so un-rock and roll. Like I'd expect that from Britney Spears or Madonna, but
Jimmy, the Super Bowl halftime show is lip synced every year.
It's pretty pathetic. Maybe we should get rid of that.
I agree with you, but when you're playing in front of an audience that big and you're in a stadium and it's being piped in through TV, it's just like,
doesn't it look like phony? Like it's not rock and roll to me, man.
But most of the audience doesn't know that. Here's the problem. It's not a rock and roll audience watching the Super Bowl halftime show.
Yeah.
It's a casual audience who, it's crazy. Like after the Super Bowl show, I always see, what an incredible performance. Britney sang her ass off. Like she sounded just like the record. That's because it was, it's like people just don't know better. And honestly, it's more about the dancing and the choreography than it is about the.
Yeah, it's a spectacle.
About it's like it's like seeing the bears ride the unicycle at the circus. That's what it is.
Yeah. Alan, closing thoughts. Nothing. We got nothing. Nothing for us.
Ozzy, God bless him. 73, still singing, still going to the studio. And doing what he can. And hey, man, everybody should be happy. He's more popular now than he's probably ever been in his life. So
That's a good point. Everybody's happy. So what are we complaining about? Perrin, closing thoughts.
Hey, it won't be in my top 10 of the year, but it's a respectable effort by a hero of all of ours. And at 73 years old, 74 years old, it's the best we can hope for. Actually, this probably was the best Ozzy record I could have hoped for at this point in his life. So I'll take it.
Yeah, guys, you know what? Ozzy, God bless Ozzy. Is that what they usually say? God bless Ozzy.
God bless Ozzy.
He usually blesses us, actually. He's like, God bless you
God
all.
bless you all.
Jimmy, I like this comment. Jimmy sounding like the old man get off my lawn guy. Look, I don't like lip syncing. You know, you're in front of a crowd. It's supposed to be rock and roll. If you bring in Ozzy, you got to friggin' bite a bat off.
Many
Bite its head
variables
off.
can go wrong. Slap the record on.
All right. Guys, have yourself a great night.